DC, Warner Brothers, is going to do a big major overhaul with Warner Brothers is going to do a major overhaul with DC. Now, guys, this is really important. I think that this is long overdue. Warner Brothers, because they just got bought out by Discovery and they just did this big merger, new management is taking over. This is under new management, and they are exploring an overhaul of DC Entertainment. Now, let me say why this is so important. Well, let's go through the article because I'm actually going to go through most of this because this is huge news, because this could totally change everything with DC. Everything. I mean, the whole reputation of DC can't make good live action movies, blah, blah, blah. All of that can be undone right now. Right now. So many things. Let's talk about this here. And I'm going to go point by point because there's a lot of points to talk about. The new owners of all things, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, are exploring the overhaul. Yes, okay. Discovery bought them out for $43 billion, which is crazy amount of money. And they bought Warner Media. And David Zaslav, the CEO of both companies, he is now the head dog in charge. He is the top leadership. And he's toying around with the idea of turning DC into its own solidified content vertical, according to sources. What does that mean? That means that right now, Warner Media, WB, had they were like WB Pictures, where they do their movies and stuff. Then they had Warner Media, like HBO. And then they was kind of like, DC Entertainment, like DC stuff, right? They kind of kept that off as like a sub division. But now they're talking about, let's make DC Entertainment potentially its own thing, right? What does that mean? That means it's no different than how Marvel Studios is its own thing. It's still under the Disney umbrella, but it's its own operation. It's not like a sub division. They trying to make it its own branch, which is great, because if you make it its own branch, that means that you're going to give it more time, care, and development, hopefully. So basically, they're trying to copy the model of what Marvel Studios is doing by giving more resources and I would say a better foundation for DC Entertainment to move forward. So right off the bat, this consideration, in my opinion, great idea. You should definitely do that, because DC has arguably some of the most popular characters at their disposal. You got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. These are some of the most iconic, popular fictional characters. Ain't no reason for you not to invest in these characters, okay? Let's be honest here. When it came out with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League, Snyder Cut, whatever, they all underperformed. All these things underperformed. Why do I say that? Yes, some of them made hundreds of millions of dollars, but guess what? You're not going to sit here and tell me, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, that there was going to be a Batman versus Superman movie, something we have never seen in live action ever. Batman and Superman fighting each other, and that didn't make over $1.5 billion? Failure. I don't care if you made 600 million, 700 million. Failure. That is a failure. That's like saying, yo, we got LeBron James, we got Kevin Durant, we got Trae Young, we got all the best players in the NBA, and we came in 4th place at the Olympics. What? Failure. You're not going to take the best in the world and come up short. That's why I don't care how big of a fan you are with Snyderverse or whatever. It doesn't matter. The facts are the facts. You cannot have the most popular fictional characters just in pop culture and not deliver. Now, in fairness, a lot of that failure is because of studio interference, and I would argue some incompetence on the part of a lot of executives. They also dropped the ball in a lot of areas. So I'm not putting it all on Snyder. I'm not putting it all on the movie. There was a lot of problems, but the buck always stops at the top. Whoever was making the decisions at the top, they have to eat that crow. So anyway, the fact that they are trying to make this their own thing, great start. Let's go on because there's some more good news here. All right, so they want to make it its own thing. The move would potentially affect DC feature film development in the WB Pictures Group, streaming services at Warner Brothers Television, and creative arm within DC proper, all in the effort to have the disparate elements more closely aligned in order to maximize the value of the superhero stable, one often seen as punching up against Marvel. Let me break that down as well. This is no different. What they're saying is we want the movie side and the TV side and the comic side to work together. You know who else is doing that? Marvel. Marvel's doing that as well. Because guess what? Kevin Feige, he runs the movie side for Marvel, the TV side. I think he gave that up to Brad Winderbaum, but he's still over all that, whatever. And Kevin Feige is also now in charge of the comic side. So what does that tell you? He has got control of the creative vision from all different aspects. So when the comics are doing something, guess what? They're not operating on their own anymore. When the comics do something, that can affect and maybe even inform you on what the movies are going to do. What the movies are doing, that can spin off into what the TV is doing. And what the TV Disney Plus shows are doing, that affects the comics. All of that works together. So now WBDC is thinking, we got comics, we got HBO and TV, and we got movies. Why don't we make them all work together? Brilliant. Good job. Yes, do it, please, in a hurry. This is how you get that cohesive story all together. So right off the bat, I'm with all of these things. These need to not be little thoughts and considerations and action. Let's go on. There's even more. Before the merger closed, Zaslav vetted candidates with experience in creating and nurturing blockbuster intellectual property with a goal of potentially finding someone to serve as a creative and strategic czar, similar to what Marvel has in Kevin Feige. One of those candidates included Emma Watts, blah, blah, blah. One insider suggested Zaslav was less interested in finding a creative guru and more interested and more eager to hire someone who had the type of business background needed to keep all the different factions at DC working more harmoniously. And that's where they just messed up. That's where you just messed up. And let me explain why. It makes perfect sense that you would want to find someone like Kevin Feige. Makes total sense. You absolutely want that. But I would argue that it's going to be more difficult than you think. That's not to say that nobody else could ever step in and do what Kevin Feige's doing. That's not to say that. But what is going to happen is Zaslav, the new head guy in charge, he's going to have to change how he's approached everything. You cannot get industry people to do what Kevin Feige's doing. Because if that were the case, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing what Marvel is doing. But there's a reason why Marvel is so unique. Let me put this more little context into this. The CEO of Sony Pictures or whatever, keep in mind that he was giving, according to the Sony email leaks, there were leaks with Sony's emails. Kevin Feige at the time was giving Sony free advice, Amy Pascal. He was like, hey, you should do this with Spider-Man, do this, do this, do this, do this. You do this with Spider-Man, it's going to be successful. She ignored everything that he said. Sony was like, we don't need your help, Mr. Marvel guy. We know how to do Spider-Man ourselves. Okay. And they turned around and made Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was also a disappointment critically and box office. It did not make as much money as it should have. Again, Spider-Man is like one of the most popular characters out there as well. Ain't no reason Spider-Man is not hitting over 800-900 million to $1 billion every time. Ain't no reason. Sony learned real quick that Kevin Feige actually knows what he's talking about. And then what happened? They made their little partnership with him. He came aboard. He started delivering every Sony movie that Marvel Studios produced for them, made them more money than they ever made before. I remember there was a quote from the CEO of Sony where he had actually said, this was back before No Way Home. Before No Way Home came out, remember that Sony was like, after Far From Home, we're done. The Marvel deal is off. You know what the CEO said? He had came out and said, we've learned everything we need to learn from Kevin Feige moving forward. This is what he said. He said that we learned the blueprint. We got the formula. We know how to do, we know what to do moving forward. This is after Far From Home. And they was like, we're done with Marvel. We don't need your help. Of course, there was a lot of backlash. Fans started being like, the hell you mean the deal is over? You about to take him? You gonna take Tom Holland out the MCU? Oh, hell no. After that whole uproar, basically they came back together. They was like, all right, we'll make another deal. Boom, we get No Way Home. And guess what? It only made $1.6 billion. It only put a whole bunch more money in Sony's pockets. But remember, Sony said that we got this. We can do this ourselves. This is what they said. What they give us after that? Venom 2. And then Morbius. You said you knew what you was doing. You said you got this. And then you give us Morbius and Venom 2? But you got this? Let's go back even further. WB, the previous owners, they tried to copy Marvel too. I want you to think about back in the time when after Man of Steel, around 2014, 2015, this is coming off the heels of Avengers. After Avengers came out, my goodness, Joss Whedon was blowing up. Joss Whedon had sat here, made Avengers. It made $1 billion. It was crazy. Superhero movies was about to be on the map. We was doing the thing. And then he came out with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and basically everything was blowing up. And then they also went ahead and made Age of Ultron. Made a whole lot of money, but we're going to put a pin right there. Put a pin on Age of Ultron with Joss Whedon. WB was looking over at Marvel, and WB was like, wait a minute. How is this company that at that time didn't even have full rights of all their characters? How is this company taking these B and C level heroes and making billions of dollars? Meanwhile, we sitting here with like some of the prime time characters with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and we ain't doing nothing? Oh, hell no. So what did they do? WB went out and got Zack Snyder. Now, what did they do with getting Zack Snyder? They got Zack Snyder to be their Joss Whedon. They wanted what the success that Marvel had with Joss Whedon, WB wanted with Zack Snyder. And the reason why I compared the two is because they didn't just have them be directors. They also had them be executive producers. Okay? So, because they're both executive producers, Marvel gave Joss Whedon the keys to the kingdom. They was like, "Yup, you did it with Avengers. We just gonna let you keep on going. You want a show with Agents of Shield? Go ahead, Joss Whedon. You know what you're doing. Oh, you want that with Age of Ultron? Go ahead. You got the keys to the kingdom. And slowly but surely, Marvel realized that was a bad idea. Marvel was like, "Ooh, Agents of Shield ain't doing too hot." I mean, don't get me wrong, it got better later, but it was like, ugh. And then Age of Ultron underperformed. It made a lot of money, but it underperformed. It did not make the amount of money that they hoped it would. So once that happened, WB didn't learn from that mistake. WB stayed with Zack Snyder. And the problem with that was they didn't know how to adjust. And that is the issue that a lot of studios don't realize. Kevin Feige is not doing things in an industry formula way, in a formulaic way. A lot of people in the industry feel like, you know what? This is how movies have been made for years. This is how movies should be made moving forward, etc., etc. Kevin Feige, to his credit, because y'all know I got praise for Kevin Feige and I got criticisms. Right now, I'm giving him his praise. Kevin Feige has been in the industry for a long time, and he's a nerd first. He's a nerd, but he also worked under a lot of some of the greats. He worked with Richard Donner, made Superman and all that. He worked on the X-Men films. He's been in the process of how to make movies, but he understands the characters and the lore and all the stuff first. So because of that, that's an interesting combination that a lot of people don't know about, that they don't possess. Some people are very creative and they're nerds, but they don't know how to make good movies. Some people can make good movies, but they don't understand the characters. Some people know how to make good movies. Some people know how to make good characters, but they don't have the vision to build a universe. And this is why I usually say, this is why I was saying, because like the moment people were saying, oh, WB wants another Kevin Feige, restore the Snyderverse. Get Zack Snyder back. Let it go. And I'm telling you right now, absolutely not. It's not a good idea. One, the whole Snyder stuff is still messy baggage. You still got Walter Hamada. You still got Ray Fisher. They got their beef, they issues. It's messy. You don't want to do that. That's already messed up. Yes, it's new management, so, it'd be a different, page, I guess, but still. But the reason why I tell people Zack Snyder is not Kevin Feige is because, for one, he already had that shot. He already tried it. He had the keys to the kingdom. Zack Snyder directed Man of Steel. He was, Batman versus Superman, but then the issues with Justice League, we understand what happened, tragic passing of his daughter and all that. But that wasn't the issue. Zack Snyder was also made the executive producer for a lot of other things in the Snyderverse. Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, everything else he was in charge. He had that vision of. The problem with, in my opinion, is that I think Zack Snyder is a phenomenal visual director. I think that Zack Snyder excels greatly in small, contained projects. Where you saw Army of the Dead on Netflix, Zack Snyder is killing. I personally like Army of the Dead. He is doing his thing there, and he even got like the little spin-off movies or whatever that he's also part of the EP. And he's doing a good job with that. He's doing a very good job with that. Why? There aren't any expectations with it. He is free to go ahead and do his thing, and that works for Zack Snyder. Let me explain to you why Zack Snyder would not be a good fit to bring back. I don't trust his decision making. I don't trust his vision. Zack Snyder, what I love about him is that he is a fan of the characters and the stories. I love that. I want a director or an executive producer to be passionate about the property. What my issue with him is, I don't trust his business decisions. I don't trust his vision for things. Let me give you just one example. Just one example. As an executive producer and as a director, Zack Snyder made the decision to introduce Doomsday in Batman v Superman and kill him off. And kill him off. You took the storyline, the death of Superman, which for comic heads was one of the most iconic stories, one of the most popular stories ever in comics. Because I remember, before I even really got deep into comics, when I saw the death of Superman, it made local news, regular news. That blew me away. I was like, yo, this is really a big deal. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, yo, you took something that could have been a separate movie and story, and that probably could have made you $1 billion. That right there. You took that iconic moment and squeezed it into 20 minutes of Batman v Superman, and that was it. Kevin Feige would never. That's like Kevin Feige taking Infinity War and squeezing in Secret Wars in like the last 20 minutes. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You don't want to make money? You don't like money? You don't that's what I'm saying. He's a good director, but he lacks the vision as a producer. Because if I'm a studio head and you mean to tell me that instead of having 3 dope movies, you crammed it all into one, you're wasting my money now. Because those were each opportunities to make $1 billion, $1 billion, $1 billion. And guess what? Batman v Superman didn't even make $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken. I think it made like 800 million. You squandered that opportunity. He can't be that. He cannot be that executive producer. And then, if we need more examples, sometimes, and again, I love the fact that Zack Snyder, and this is not me trying to ride on him, I'm just trying to get people to understand the perspective of the difference between liking a director and thinking and overqualifying them for stuff that they're not suited for. That's it. This is not his lane. He decided, especially in Batman v Superman, to get Eisenberg to play not Lex Luthor, but Alexander Luthor. What the hell? Everybody was sitting here confused, like, that's not Lex Luthor? Like, the Lex Luthor? What? Oh, no, that was Alexander Luthor from another universe, but yeah, we put him in this movie and this. Bro, this is where you lost sight of your audience. Because Zack Snyder, as a comic buff, and again, I love the fact that he knows his comics, you took something so specific and niche, but then you put it into your movie and you made people kind of like conflate, and you confuse people with like, no, this isn't Lex Luthor, the one that y'all have known for, decades. But this is Alexander Luthor. He's kind of like Lex, but he's not Lex, but he's Lex's son, but he's not really. That means that you don't have the perspective of the general audience. And let me tell y'all, Kevin Feige, the one thing he knows how to do, he does not advertise to us comic fans. He don't care about us comic fans like that. He knows where the money resides. Where is it? With the general audience. Kevin Feige, and this is part of his brilliance with Marvel Studios, they don't appeal to comic fans. Why? Because they know us comic fans are thirsty. We gonna show up anyway. You just say X-Men, we there. You say mutants, we there. It don't take nothing to get comic fans in the theater. But the value is getting general audiences into the theater. People that ain't never seen or read or picked up a comic book in their life. That's who you get into the theaters. And Zack Snyder, again, overshoots his ideas, and it don't work. It don't always work. Because if it did, his things would make more money because they would appeal to general audiences that are not hardcore fans. There's a reason why, and I have to give Kevin Feige credit for this. He's one of the bigger reasons why Black Panther got greenlit. Now he didn't believe Black Panther was going to be as big as it was, but I have to give him credit because he's part of the reason why it does exist. And guess what? Black Panther was a lot of people's very first Marvel movie ever. Black Panther was people's general audience's very first experience with a comic book movie. You're not getting that from a Zack Snyder or WB production. You're not. And you got underwear superheroes. You got superheroes that even if you don't read a comic book, you know who Superman is. And people didn't show up enough for that to get the billions. So anyway, this is why, again, I'm saying you cannot just say just because you like this director that automatically qualifies them to be the visionary the way Kevin Feige is. Even Kevin Feige knows his lane. Kevin Feige ain't trying to be a no director. Like, he's like, yo, I do this production thing. I run stuff. Y'all do that. And he knows how to hire the right people to do it. So that is one of the big reasons why I'm like, they need to stay away from that. But let me actually throw something in here. Y'all know who should run WB moving forward? Have y'all remembered things like Batman Beyond, Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Justice League Unlimited? Y'all know that a lot of that came from one person. Bruce Timm. Hire Bruce Timm. Why is he not the very first person at your door? This man has single-handedly made some of the best animated shows, not just DC superhero shows, some of the best stuff out there. Y'all got a mini Kevin Feige right there. Right there. What are you looking for? The DC animated stuff barely misses. I ain't gonna say they perfect, but they be hitting. DC animated be hitting. How many times have we talked about whoever's running the DC animated stuff needs to just go, work on the live action stuff. Knock on the door. They right there. They've been putting in the work. They just got done doing their own cinematic animated universe. Animated. And it was good. It was damn good. But y'all can't hire Bruce Timm. I know Jeff Johns is out there or whatever, but honestly, I don't think Jeff Johns has the Kevin Feige experience. He's a fantastic comic book writer. He's going to be doing a couple TV shows. Maybe he can do that transition. I don't think Jeff Johns can do the movie side of things. Like I said, some people know how to do maybe one thing, maybe two things. It's hard to do all 3-4 things that Kevin Feige has mastered at this point. But right now, the best bet you got, I think, is Bruce Timm. Go get him and get his whole team, whoever else involved in the DC animated, board of things. That's your winner right there. That's your winner. Those are your little mini Kevin Feige's, because they clearly have already proven they know what they're doing. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Insiders say that Zaslav believes that the success of the merger one has left the company highly leveraged, will rest in no small part on unlocking the full potential of the DC Comics universe of characters. That's smart. Discovery insiders believe that although DC has achieved cinematic success with recent films like Aquaman, the Batman, it lacks a coherent creative and brand strategy. Discovery believes that several top shelf characters like Superman have been left to languish and need to be revitalized. They also believe that projects like Todd Phillips's Joker are a shining example of how second build characters from the DC library can and should be exploited, kind of like Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn as another example. Let's go. Okay. I'm totally with them on this because again, DC has no restrictions. They have rights to all their characters. Marvel hasn't even put out their A team yet. They haven't even put out the Fantastic Four. They ain't put out the X-Men yet. They haven't put out the A team yet. DC ain't got no excuse. DC is doing Superman bogus as hell right now. And I'm still going to say get Henry Cavill back as Superman because The Witcher, I watched the first episode of season 2 of The Witcher and I fell asleep twice. It's just I don't know, bro. I don't know how long that's going to last. But my man is Superman. Get him back in the role. The Batman, cool. I like where they're going with it. It's fine. If they want to keep that solo, that's cool. The Joker, I agree. I like the idea that you can still have standalone movies. Get that together. I'm with you on that. Aquaman, let me tell you something. Keep Wonder Woman, keep Henry Cavill. Hell, bring back Ben Affleck if you want to. I'm fine with all of that. Recast Aquaman. Recast Aquaman. This ain't nothing against Jason Momoa. Remember what I told y'all about Zack Snyder and his business decision making? This is why I don't trust him as a producer. He cast Jason Momoa as Aquaman because he wanted to get a macho man, masculine, because Aquaman had a real bad reputation. He was getting made fun of. He was the butt of a lot of jokes and stuff. Ain't nobody gonna make fun of Jason Momoa, right? Especially not in his face. But here's the thing. Jason Momoa was never, in my opinion, meant for Aquaman. I want Momoa out as Aquaman because I want him cast as Lobo. Jason Momoa was born to play Lobo. Lobo is to Jason Momoa as Tony Stark is to Robert Downey Jr. Recast Aquaman. I don't care who you get for the role. Hey, Anthony Starr, Homelander. He could play him if you want to, but all I know is Jason Momoa as freaking Lobo is not much more of a slam dunk than anything else. So if I'm WB, I'm scratching everything. I'm using the Flashpoint movie, reset time, use the multiverse, whatever you want to do. You keep Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman because she's still fantastic. You bring back Ben Affleck. I've really enjoyed him and I'd like to see more of him. Henry Cavill needs to still be Superman. Recast Ezra Miller. get you another Flash. But recast Aquaman. Get somebody else's Aquaman. It's okay. Have Jason Momoa be Lobo. Y'all have no idea how. Have y'all seen Lobo? Do y'all know what Lobo is? That ain't Jason Momoa. That ain't him. That's not him. The biker guy. The biker dude. This ain't Jason. Tell me that's not him. That's not Jason Momoa. Come on now. That is him. So for me, I'm just like, look, Jason Momoa could kill in this role. Lobo is hilarious. He is he is action packed. He's kind of like if you were to take Thor and Deadpool, the characters, not their powers or abilities. If you took the character of Thor and the character of Deadpool and put them together, it'd be that. There you go. I mean, honestly, the way Jason Momoa was acting as Aquaman, that's how Lobo acts anyway. My man, shut up, Barry. Like, that's Lobo. He's acting like Lobo already. So it's not really going to be that big of a stretch. I'm talking about, listen. Anyway, let's go back to this WB thing. So I'm totally with him. I think that it would be a very, very good idea if you do not restore the Snyderverse, but you maintain the good things from the Snyderverse. Keep Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Keep Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck. Keep all of that. Bring in old dude that was gonna be Joe Maglio, that was gonna be Slade, Death, gosh, y'all know what I'm talking about. Slade Wilson. But just recap, do all the things that y'all should have done from the jump. That's all. That's all. But anyway, that's what I would do if I was them. Let me see. Let's see. Did it say anything else? DC has started to figure out ways for its big screen to inspire more streaming content. Yep, we got Peacemaker, we got the Suicide Squad spinoff. It does have the Penguin spinoff, the Gotham Police one as well. Let's see. But the company believes that DC must do more to grow its approach to comic book fare, including bolstering gaming under Walter Hamada, who took over DC Films, and Jeff Johns. The unit has achieved more consistency in terms of both the critical and commercial reception to the company's movies. Okay, so he's only under contract until 2023. Ooh, yeah, y'all can get rid of him. Zaslav is pledged to find $3 billion in synergies in the newly merged company, a signal of how important cost cutting will be to Warner Brothers' new owners. Mining DC's library of characters could help control spending as WB Discovery owns the underlying IP. Yes. And we got, what's upcoming: Shazam, Aquaman, and Black Adam, and the third installment of Wonder Woman. So listen, again, if I'm WB with this new management, I like the idea. I like their vision. I like what they're trying to do. The one thing I would also mention, though, when it comes to them trying to find, I know they were saying they wanted to find another Kevin Feige. You have to realize how Kevin Feige operates. Kevin Feige does not use a formula. He does not go by standards. Kevin Feige makes mistakes because he's not perfect, but he learns from them. Like I said, they gave Joss Whedon the keys to the kingdom, right? WB didn't learn from that mistake. They kept going with Snyder. They was like, nah, just keep going as an executive producer. Marvel was like, ooh, this ain't going to work. Let's stop that. Now let's hire smaller directors to do this, but we're going to give them a cohesive vision. What did that do for Marvel? That kept movies different. It kept them fresh. It kept them going so that even if you didn't like one movie, you probably like another one. No, you might not have liked Thor 2, but guess what? You definitely like Captain America 2, didn't you? Winter Soldier. Because what happened? Kevin Feige had the vision as a producer to look and be like, yo, Parks and Rec, those Russo brothers, they can do some damage over here. And that's part of being a head of that company, is to be able to scout talent. That's another thing a lot of people don't know how to do. You know who doesn't know how to scout talent? Sony with Morbius. You went and got the dude that did these movies that were like okay, and the writer that did even worse with a worse track record. Why are you hiring these people? What are you doing? So yeah, there's so much stuff that is involved in terms of making a studio run efficiently, but also having the creative vision to keep it going. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Marvel might make it look like it's easy, but if you really study how Marvel has grown over the years, they have messed up. They have had failures. They've had movies that have flopped. But through it all, they don't really repeat the same mistakes. And that's the problem that a lot of other companies do. A lot of companies will just continue. I'm sorry. You can't sit here and tell me you made Venom, then you made Venom 2, and then you made Morbius, and you still want to keep doing these movies? You still want to have Kraven the Hunter? You still want to have Black Cat? You still trying to do a Sinister Six? Why is Sony trying to give us a Sinister Six movie as if it's going to be like the next Endgame or something? I don't care about the Sinister Six. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, that is all I got for DC and this new. I am super hopeful. I've been saying for the longest time that they need to restart and reboot everything. I hope they do all of that for this. I hope it gives us some great movies. I hope we get some good cohesive stories to come about from all of this. I hope they do it. I never thought I'd say this, but right now I am really rooting for WB and DC to get this. Like, I've never wished ill will on them, but I am really hopeful at this point that they are bringing in new management. They've been very successful at Discovery, with the shows and all the media that they've done. So I think that this is actually a really good opportunity for them to to really cash in and to capitalize on these things, on their properties and all of that. So let's see what happens, and let's see where it goes, and hopefully hopefully this does something. Hopefully it does. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this DC news. Let me know how you feeling about the new management, the new vision. Do you think they're gonna work? Do you think it's gonna, be successful? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.